Hey guys, how's it going? Just still prepping the lab and path. How's it going, everybody? Good to see y'all. Hey Momo, hey Tot. How's it going? We ready to practice some questions today? Got some good ones that we can go over. Multi-step. Very important. You're preparing for your exam too. Awesome. That is so cool. Hope I can help you. These qualitative and quantitative are super important. That will definitely be one question on the exam, is making sure you know the differences between those, quant and qualitative. If you don't know, it's in the guidelines in the front before we code this section. Super important. Oh, your exam is next Saturday. Let's go. When I see you TikTok videos on spandex, what the heck is that? I start getting nervous. I mean Appendix L. Oh my Lord. I'm like, what in the heck is that? On Appendix L, you start getting nervous. There's only one question that will be about Appendix L. And I hope I bring some clarity. I mean, most teachers don't even go there, or they talk at you. I try to show you tips and tricks on how to deal with that question and how to find the answer. I hope it's okay, especially during the lives. I go really slow and go through them and make sure that I clarify whatever I did in the TikTok. Yeah, Appendix L is pretty scary. It's one thing I refuse to learn for even my exam. I did not want to learn E&M. You know, I took it years ago before it was such a big to-do on the exam like this year. But I refused to learn E&M, Appendix L, and I did not know to fix the out-of-code sequences. So all the codes that are in red are out of numerical sequence, and they just give you a range of where the answer might be. Or they tell you something like this, that it's on a definitive drug testing subsection somewhere, and they don't even tell you where that is. And you got to go find it. It's one of your answers, and you got to go look it up. And no one told me about that. And I paid for a lot of information over the internet before the exam, and got to the exam that I really wanted to pass. And I had to guess, because lab and path and medicine are full of out-of-code sequences, and I couldn't find any of the codes in the time that I had left, because it's usually the last part of the test that you get to is that section. And I just guessed on 3 whole sections of the exam. Of course, still passed, but good gracious, I was paying people for information, and they didn't even tell me that info. Anyway, this book is in numerical order, which is great. You don't need tabs in your book for the exam, because you're just going to be running from number to number to number to number. But what you do need is if the code is not here on this page, because you're going to numerical order and it should be, you need to go write down the page number of where it is, just so that when you get here, you can be directed to the correct page. Now I got to go find out where the heck this subsection is and then search for it again. You just don't have time for that in the exam. You have about 2 minutes per question. That way you save enough time to do the cases at the end. Now that they've employed those, there's 10 cases at the very end. So you really need to get them done in about 120 seconds each question. And if you have 4 different codes to look up, and then that's just to get the CPTs. What if your question is wrapped up into 2 different sections? Like I have 2 CPT codes that are the same, but then I have 2 different diagnosis codes. Once you get down to figuring out which CPT code you got, then you're going to have to go look up and decide which diagnosis code. So it's going to take you some time on some questions because you have 2 different books you're going to have to employ. So you really don't need any time wasted on just finding codes. You need to be well versed in this book and have practiced looking up random codes too. That will definitely help. Momo, what I did was, because I'm a medical auditor and I don't need the CPC for my career, but since COVID happened and I was still working, of course, but they canceled all my audits because, of course, we couldn't meet in person. And that's the only day I went in once a year anyway to do my annual audit. So one of the things I do get asked at the medical conferences all the time are you a CPC? Because I do deal in codes, but I deal with HEDIS measures, pay for performance, CHAPS audits, things like that. And people new in the medical company that aren't old people like me, they're always asking, are you a CPC? And I'm like, no, I'm not a coder. I'm not a biller. I'm an auditor. But it takes so long to explain who I am and what I do. Usually at conferences, I thought, well, why don't I just use this downtime from COVID just to go on and get that CPC? Because, every little bit helps in annual review time, because there is no audit that I'm going to be passing. In order to get annual bonuses, you need to have improved yourself in some way or improved the company in some way. So I thought what a good opportunity it would be is if I go on and get my CPC, 2 things would happen. I would prove that I have bettered myself in some way to my company so that I could get my annual bonus. And then also I could shut people up at audits, annual conferences, and say, yes, I'm a CPC. And then I could just end that conversation. I'm not very, I don't know. It's just really hard to explain yourself when you're not a CPC, when somebody asks you if you're CPC, because they don't understand what your job is. Anyway, so I decided to go on and get my CPC, but I never thought about learning coding. I didn't want to learn coding because I'm not a coder, and it intrigued me to do. I love auditing, and I do use the codes, but in HEDIS measures, they tell you what codes you need to use, and they tell you how often you need to do it and at what criteria you need to do it with or not do it with. So it's all laid out for you, and I just have to make sure that the doctors are trained and that we're capturing the information appropriately, and then prove it to the health plans in order for my group to get annual bonuses. So when getting the CPC, I never thought about learning how to code. So my first thought was, between ahima or aapc, I saw that aapc lets you have 2 tries. So back then in 2019 to 2019, when COVID started that November, By March, we were shut down. I saw that AAPC gives you 2 tries, so I booked right away my first in-person attempt at the CPC exam. Just taking some books and going there just to audit the exam. I wasn't there to do anything other than to document what kind of codes they used on the exam, which sections they used, how did they write their questions, what was different about the codes that they did put down on the exam that were on the exam. What's the difference between those, and why were they so interesting? I didn't want to take a coding course because I don't want to learn coding, and then I didn't want to buy a bunch of stuff like practice exams and stuff. I wanted to know what was really on the exam. So I scheduled it, took it in person, did not even pay attention to what I was bubbling in. I just randomly picked things while I was observing the questions and marking things up in the CPT and HCPCS and diagnosis code book so that I could remember and come back home and audit it. So then once I audited their exam, audited the codes that were on my first attempt, that's when I scheduled my online exam and took it from home, all in one day, and passed that time, of course. Never planned, never even considered it wouldn't take me those 2 times to do it. I got pretty darn close with the first attempt. I think I didn't even pay attention. I knew I wasn't even trying, but I think it was in the high 60s of some sort. I can remember that. I can look it up on AAPC, but no, it just says pass or fail. And, I didn't even look at the breakdown. I didn't even know that they could send you a breakdown of what you did in each section, but it really wouldn't have done me any good because I didn't read any questions. I just wanted to know what codes were on it, and then I could figure it out from there. So that's how I did it. So it did take me 2 attempts, but it's not that I was trying at all on the first attempt. But I did try on my second attempt, and that second attempt was where I still didn't know that there was out-of-code sequences. No one said anything. I did the back cave. I did all that stuff and utilized their group chats and all that stuff, and AAPC's Facebook page, and followed everybody's comments on there, noting that they just took the exam, what they experienced, what they thought about the exam, all that stuff, and no one said a dang thing about this mess. And I didn't know enough about coding and didn't even open the books enough to even look at what the differences were in all these codes. So it didn't occur to me until I tried to take it for reals on that online exam that there was a ton I couldn't even find. I just have to keep going. But I didn't know how to code E&M when I took it, and because that's just too much to learn. It was just awful. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And then I know cardiology and all that other stuff. And lab and path, I used to run a lab in Memphis, Tennessee, so I know a lot of the lab codes, but still I couldn't find anything. I had to go off my memory of what was a multi-step, what was an enzyme, or a probe test, those kinds of things. I just had to go off my memory on a lot of that. And medicine was a joke because that was just like a hodgepodge of crap back there that was just insane. So I didn't prepare for medicine section either, but still managed to pass. But now that they gave out those free courses, the COC, the CPB, and that other stuff during this time. And so right after I passed the CPC, they gave away and had that free thing where you could get 3 courses or something during COVID they were giving back. So I looked, I still had downtime, and I thought, well, maybe I'll learn something about E&M through those courses. And I started taking those free courses and thought, God, if I got to learn how to code, or not really code, but if I had to learn from that course to pass that test that I just took, just from that course, and I paid $3 to $6 grand for that course, I would be mad. And then I just made a TikTok about it, and it sort of turned into this, where now I don't have any downtime, even if we're not doing audits. But I didn't intend on teaching coding or even thinking about it. I just was making a TikTok about, good gracious, I can't believe they're being so, I don't know. People could share. I know that people that have these other websites and things that have taken the exam and have been there before, know that they could share a whole lot more info than what they do. Hold on, I got somebody at my door. Oh, Lord, sorry, guys. Ugh. Well, my goodness, somebody just delivered me chocolate. They must know it's that time. I don't know. But they also delivered flowers. Oops, I guess I shouldn't show my address, but yeah, I got flowers too. That's so pretty. Must be Mother's Day stuff from the Honey Bunny. Let's see. Oh gosh, they smell so green, and a bag of chocolate. Oh, somebody planned ahead. And no name. But it does say, after 2 p.m., somebody must know. I don't go to the door until 2 p.m. But, aw, big old batch of flowers. Let me put them back on the kitchen table so I don't drop them here. And the box of chocolate. Box of chocolate. That's so sweet. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh. They should really put sweet num-nums on there, but man, I got cat hair all over this. But he opened up our local Hobby Lobby. So thank you, Mr. Lee. He's at our Hobby Lobby where he's always at, working 16-hour days, 6 a.m. till 9:30 p.m. Man, if you ever work for one of those places and you run the whole show where the whole store is your responsibility, well, that means you're there 6 days a week, every day, 16 hours a day. These store managers are really, they get out of a lot of federal guidelines for employment because of the church. So, yeah, I feel so bad. He's always at work. Always. He comes home and his feet are so sore. Anyway, I really wish he didn't have to work so long on his feet, and they only allow him 30 minutes a day in the office. The rest of the time needs to be out on the floor stocking. So he has to do all the scheduling and money counting in that 30 minutes time, and the rest of the time it's got to be out on the floors. And they have live feed to Oklahoma where they watch every single store on those cameras and make sure and verify that they're not in the office sitting down. So Anyway, if y'all are ever in a Hobby Lobby, maybe you might get bad service, but just don't yell at the store manager. They're like the Walking Dead. So, you know, they're worked a lot. Maybe the receptionist and stuff or the cashiers are mean. Yell at them, but don't yell at the store managers. They really, 2 a.m. an alarm goes off. They got to drive all the way to the store, meet the cops, walk through the store, all that stuff. They never get any time off, and they can't take vacation from October all the way through till April because they have store audits, the holidays. They embargo and don't let them take off any days off during that whole time. He has to do his 4 weeks of vacation from May to July, and that's it. It's the only time he can get it. Anyway, what was I ranting about earlier? That CPC exam. So, yeah, I took those free courses and got that. And I felt so bad because, you know, once you start following the aapc Facebook group, you kept seeing people not passing. I didn't pass again. And it was just heartbreaking to see so many people during COVID and not passing. They have their whole family and everybody supporting them, and they really need this career change out of retail or something. And it just broke my heart to see so many not passing. And I thought, well, I know why. They're not looking at the exam from the exam's point of view. Like, I never thought to learn to code to take the exam. That's not what you need to do. You need to go look at the exam's point of view and figure out what you need to know just from the exam's point of view. Not take a course. That's what your career is for. If you want to learn to code, you've got a whole lifetime to learn to code, but you got to pass that exam to even get a job to practice. So, oops, I'm trying not to cancel the live, but I don't know what I did. There we go. No. Focus. Okay. So, my few tweets ranting about, bless y'all's hearts, I feel so bad for y'all, kind of turned into this mentoring program that I ended up doing. And I started going lives and trying to show y'all, you know, as many hours as I can give y'all to let you know what you need to pass the exam. April was a really good month. It really warmed my heart. I kept telling people, y'all just can't fail in April. Y'all got to pass. It's my birthday month. And y'all did so well. I think I got really close to 30 people that passed in April. So that was really awesome. All right, let me see what's going on. Thank you about the beautiful flowers. Let me read. I know I'm way behind. How hard is the coding test to pass? The coding test is hard to pass because you're not doing any coding. So if you walk into it thinking, I need to code, I need to know routes and locations and things, and I need to read the question from beginning to end and then look up every CPT code and figure out and code the answer, you're not going to pass. You will never pass doing it like that. Everything that they taught you since elementary school is not going to help you to pass that exam. You need to avoid reading the questions at all cost. You need to, no. You need to prep the book. I mean, it was easy for me to pass, and I don't know nothing about coding. As far as, you know, I couldn't get a job as a coder and know what the heck to do right now. I mean, I know some of it. I know places, services, and I do look at claims from time to time, but, you know, that's not my job. But I passed it without even knowing anything about coding and not being a coder. The answer's there. You just need to be a good exam taker, which is rough. I'm a horrible exam taker. I could know the subject like the back of my hand, and still you quiz me on it on a written exam and I interpret questions wrong. I just see things that aren't there or interpret the question completely wrong. So again, one of those techniques that I use is I don't even read the questions. I stay away from those. And that way I don't get confused or turned around wrong. So I think the exam is easy to pass if you prep for it in a very anti-human way. You really got to take the human nature out of it. Let's see. Her exam, I got that one. Her exam was next. Yep. Hey, Kashmir. It's good to see you. Hey, Megs. Thanks for all the shares. Megan shared the live. Thank you very much. I do one-on-one tutoring. You can schedule that at medicalcodingbyjen.com under booking. I do have workshops that I do that are 3 hours long on Sundays. Not this Sunday because it is Mother's Day, but I do workshops, and those are just $10. But I don't do any talking like I've been rattling on for how long now? Twinkle, is she there to tell me how long I've been wasting people's time? What I do is just back-to-back questions on those workshops. This Sunday, not tomorrow Sunday, but the next one, is going to be medicine section. I'm going to be doing 60 to 70 questions back to back. You'll see every type of question you'll run into on the CPC exam during those workshops. If you can't be there, that's okay. If you pre-purchase, then you'll get the replay, which you can watch it later. But those are really cool workshops. They're just like my one-on-one tutoring. You still get to interact, just like here on TikTok, where you type in your comments and then I reply. But the main point is to show you how I would attack each question if I was taking the questions like it was a CPC exam. How would I do it? How would I figure out what the answer is? And I don't even know anything about coding, so that you can pass. I've figured out when I audited the exam that AAPC does usually give you 2 throwaway answers and 2 that are really close because there's a reason. There's a parenthetical that goes with it. There's a guideline that goes with it. There's something that goes along with those 2 codes. One is using an implant that is man-made. One is using a graft. There's something about those 2 codes that are super similar, but still not the same thing. And they're trying to trick you about picking the right answer. So I look for coding irregularities too. I figured out that a lot of the guidelines already tell you what can be or cannot be coded together with certain things. Right up in here before we start coding, it'll tell us we can code these and these together, or we use this modifier if it's a certain situation. And they also give you examples of how you would code it. But those codes could be way far away from this particular page. We're already over into the 140s, which could be 5-6 pages away. And if you don't go move that information to the actual codes where it affects, you won't remember. And you don't have time to go hunt down your guidelines to see what you would use or not use with it. And so that's what I do, is move everything over to the codes. That way I've got it there in front of me. Like there's a lot of cardiology ones that include fluoroscope. And unless you went through all of cardiology and wrote each one of those codes down, and you wrote down beside it, includes radiology, many of their exam questions will say that one code, and one answer will be with radiology code and one code will be without it. And you have to know what that guideline says. So a lot of book prep goes into it. Since it is an open book exam, I do a lot of book prep. That way, the answer's right there in front of me, and I can let the codes tell me what the answer is instead of me reading the question and then trying to figure out what the answer is. So I think the exam's easy. I mean, I'm going to let my CPC expire and not do my CEUs so that I can take it again. But we can see how high I can go from year to year. That would be fun. And then when they put some more of their certifications online, I want to take those too, just to be taking them. But I really don't want to go in person. But I don't mind taking it in online. So that answers the question about did I pass the first time. I do tutoring. And what am I highlighting? So some of the CPT codes don't really have a lot of information in them that I need to worry about, but some of them do. So what I'm highlighting and what I'm finding out in their exam questions is that it's not what's after the semicolon that's super important, like other people say. It's what's in the parentheses. If they have something in the parentheses, those are AKA terms, and that ends up in your CPC exam question, especially if it is like a difference between reduction and manipulation, or if they say it's a Truman procedure, a proper name, that will end up in your CPC exam. So anytime I see a parentheses, I'm highlighting it. I also highlight if I see something that says modifier alert, because I'll go back and do it as a blue alert. So if I see anything telling me to use a modifier, I'll highlight that. Some codes don't have anything to highlight, which is fine. Now, this one's interesting because it says per enzyme. Anytime it says each or per, you see how that each is? I'll highlight that and come back to that later, because the eaches will tell me which codes I can do that multiple, that times 2, times 3. I'll go back and make sure that I can actually do the times 2, times 3 with them. Sometimes it means that you code the note code twice instead of hitting times 2, but most of the time it means that you can do times 2. So I highlight that so I can go back to that later. Look at that right here. Oh, let me get this down here. See how this one's got a proper name? Love it. That will, if they use that particular CPT code, they'll more than likely have that name inside the CPC exam question, which will discern and be your one-word difference. So the first pass through is what I do is just absent-mindedly, not even thinking about what I'm doing, is I'm just looking for anything that says EG, because everything that comes after that EG is my AKA terms for that particular CPT code, and I highlight those. That way, I will pay attention to it during the exam. The next time I go through, I will make sure that I fix all those out-of-code sequences like these. Put the page numbers down where it's located, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting here. The code is not here. It could be 500 pages away. Don't know. It could be 1 page away. It could be on the same page, just up a bunch, which that one is. So since it's up, I'm just going to draw an arrow pointing up, and then that way I'll know it's up there. Or if it's down there, or if it's across the page, wherever it is. I'll get this thing to focus in just a second. But that's what I do. Some of the parentheticals will tell you when to use a modifier and when not to use a modifier. I will highlight those on my next pass too, and make sure that I grab any parentheticals that are super important. A lot of them are just not really important for another code. Go here, and that's just not worth my time paying attention. If they use the word use, like over here, That's worth my time paying attention to. If I'm supposed to use this code with these codes, then I need to know that. And it also is telling me something about it being a single or multiple procedure. So I'll mark those use this, use that with 2 blue stars. And then when it also says to use a modifier, I'll do it in blue stars. The rest I don't worry about. When it's just for this or for that, we're not worried about those. We can leave those alone. After I've done the highlighting and marking of the blue stars and the red stars for the do nots, then the fun happens where you see how all these are listed with the same word first. We've got microplasma, 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 4 times in a row right here. One of them's G. These 2 are pneumonia, but one of them's direct and one of them's amplified and one of them's quant. So that's helpful. I'll write GENT underneath that one. I'll write direct underneath that one. I'll write amplified underneath that one, and then quant underneath that one. The reason being is that I don't have to come, if my question happens to be about those 4 codes, I don't have to divert my eyes from the codes. The answers are written right underneath them, and you wouldn't think that that would help you a whole lot, and it sounds pretty silly. But every eye movement needs to be accounted for speed in this exam. You only have 2 minutes per question to get this done. And if you're looking at 4 codes, you don't need to get here to the codes, then decipher what they're saying, pick out your 1-word differences, and then go to the question. So I go on and move it all right here so that my eyes only need to look at the numbers and what's the 1-word difference. I would carry the words direct, amplified, quant, and gent into my head and go look at the CPC exam question for the first time. I wouldn't have looked at it before now. I would only looked at the answers to find out what codes I needed to run to, and then I would skim the question from the bottom up, looking for any words that mean direct, amplified, or quant. Find my answer, circle it, and move on to the next question. But anything that starts out with the same words, I'm going to have to go back through. These all have, and then those would end up being kind of boxed in as one little character, and then these microplasmas will be kind of boxed in as one little bundle, and then our differences. So that's what I'm doing there. I also go through and will do stuff with the anatomy, add descriptions and prefixes, suffixes, those kinds of things for each section that will help out defining things for those 5 anatomy questions at the end. That can be super helpful. I currently requested for them to send me the breakdown and nobody has gotten back to me yet. Sorry, Tiff. I know you want to tutor tomorrow too. I just really wish I had that breakdown so I know where to even, go with. The boys are gone. So I do have all day tomorrow, but I do have 3 people I got to tutor tomorrow already. I think one's starting at 9 a.m., one's at noon, and one's at 4. So a good chunk of the day. And I usually, you know me, you've done tutoring before. I don't do the 1 hour, even though you book 1 hour. I end up doing, like, this first one will end up not finishing till probably 11. And then my 1 to 2 will not finish till 3. And then this ends at 11, so I need to eat. But I got 2 hours there, but, and then my afternoon one won't end till 6:30, but it starts there. So I don't, it's just, I do have those, but the boys are gone, which are going to help me until they get back that afternoon. So I do have some time, but it's a busy day tomorrow. And Mother's Day is Sunday. I mean, I don't have any plans, but I did get a big old, huge cooking pot, I don't know, 6 inches. I don't know how big. It's a big old pot where you put crawfish in it and cook it. But this came with crab legs and, I don't know what all in it. I'm allergic to shellfish, so I don't know what's all in it. But I got it from a mom. She was wanting it for Mother's Day, so I got to cook that at some point. But she won't be in till 6:30. But yeah, I can't eat any of that. So I got me some barbecue from Memphis, Tennessee, shipped in with it. So that's going to be fun. I'm just going to eat tomorrow. That's it. Yep. No plans to do anything else. So we'll do our best, Tiffany, to get you worked in. But yes, I do tutoring. I do. There's links in my bio for sure. I hope they get you that breakdown. That would really help. But I mean, more than anything, we know E&M is a big, cool thing. It would just be nice to know what your score was there. Because if I'm teaching you something that you got 100% in, and then we find out we should have been doing cardiology or something, it's just not a good use of our time. E&M, though, is always good to learn because we've got, at least we could have up to 16 questions on the exam that could be E&M. It's just really hard without that breakdown. And, nobody does anything for anybody after 2 p.m. or something on a Friday. Isn't that the norm for business protocol? No one will deal with any issues or something. I don't know. But we did try to get a hold of them really early this morning. But it being Friday, people don't help nobody on Fridays. That's for sure. It's like half day at work. We'll get it by Monday, but I know you got to work too. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Lindsay. I paid AAPC for a dual course in billing and coding course. Oh, I bet that was confusing, Lindsay. Oh, my. The coding course alone, after, 6 of those video things with the repeat, it was all I could do to listen to one more of those things. Even just listening to them playing out loud while I'm cleaning house, running through, dusting, washing dishes, just having them playing in the background was enough to drive me crazy. And the info was repetitive and unhelpful, really, and it was just too slow, I thought. And here I am spending an hour wasting everybody's time chatting away today. But yeah, it was really unhelpful. And I can't believe they do a combo course and try to do that all at one time. Lord. Our company, back in 2017, they got big in the britches and they decided to that they could save money by exporting our billing out, and having another company do it. We had a whole billing department. So we laid off the entire billing department, everybody, and gave them a severance package and everything, and we outsourced our billing. That did not last 2 years. We rehired the same manager back and the entire department back. So don't ever be worried about losing your jobs around medical field or anything like that. Don't listen to the naysayers. If anybody says anything, it won't last. If they ever outsource any jobs, it will not work forever that way. That's for sure. We hired them all back. We were like, oh God, we're sorry. Come back. That did not work. Companies cannot, they promise the moon and can't even deliver a slice of cheese. So it's really rough out there. That was billing, not coding, or risk adjustment or things like that. I really think risk adjustment is a really good certificate to go for too. I am very happy to help, guys. I had difficulty logging on what's being highlighted in the book. Hey, Rebecca. I can't tell if you already heard this story or not, but what I'm highlighting is if a CPT code has a parentheses. If it does, I highlight it. Because a lot of times it's super helpful information or actual words that are listed as vocabulary in the CPC exam questions. So that's the first thing I'm marking. I like to mark up if it says the word each in the CPT codes too. That way I know how to bill that. Yep, got the flowers, got the floors, there's Twinkle. What does injection components mean? Injection components mean that, and I got a vaccine question tonight for us to practice on too. So if we go to the beginning of our medicine section, I'm going the wrong way. Beginning of our medicine, which is a section I want to do our next workshop on. Our workshop is going to be on the 15th. There won't be no visiting from me. It will be back-to-back questions on these. I have a document in our Discord, so if you are not on our Discord, please download that app right there, Discord. Join in, and if you go to, our main chat room, you'll get a pop-up with all of these different rooms in it. Under Cpt Code Resources, I do have a document in here. That's this one right here. It will tell you all the codes and then how many components they have in them. So you can go to your medicine section. If I could get this thing, it does not like to look at computer screens and books at the same time. When and if I can ever get up to 10,000 followers on TikTok, I think they might give me my streaming key because I'll be in the creator fund then. And then I can stream with a different camera instead of a cell phone. So I'm like 400 away. So anything that y'all can do to help me get there, that would be great, because I'm as sick as y'all are about this cell phone camera. Anyway, you'll go to those CPT codes and you'll write down how many components it has in it. That's helpful because if your patient does get counseling, you need to bill for counseling for each one of the components in any vaccine they get. Some vaccines have two components, like our hepatitis A and hepatitis B vaccine. It's a combo vaccine. It has both of those shots in one shot, where this code is just for hepatitis A, or this code is just for hepatitis A. Now, if we go to the other ones, some of them have 4 components, some of them have 6 components. This one has diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis in it, polio, Hib, that's meningococcal, and then hepatitis B in it. So it has 6 components. I've done all the work for you, told you which ones to go. You can go to our Discord group, and it's right there for you. And all you need is the code and then how many components. And it's all free. I do it all for free. So y'all go get those and then write those down so that you have it. So if your patient gets counseling, you have to add all those components up. So that way you know how to bill your immunization administration fees. So super helpful to know all that and to fix your out-of-code sequences. Please, Lord, be sure and do that. I got these last 2 sections are going to be the death of me this year. Thank you for the roses. That is so awesome. Y'all are answering each other's questions. I'm just sitting here reading y'all's comments. Yep, she's talking about Tiffany's results. We need to know how she did her last attempt, and we don't have the breakdown. And she asked them today for the breakdown, and she got the, oh, it'll happen. And it doesn't. It's not an automated thing. It does not happen automatically when something gets populated. It does not happen. You have to call them, and they have to physically go get your results and send them to you by email. So she got some crappy reply by somebody who didn't want to go do their job, unfortunately, on a Friday. And I could really use that breakdown because it'll tell me during tutoring which sections we need to focus on, because I can't do every section, in a good enough manner to get that done efficiently. But it would be easier that way. Thank you for the follow, Joan. I try to make it easier. You keep running out of time. If you keep running out of time, if you use all my little tools, you should end your exam with about 15 to 20 minutes left over. If you're not hitting that number, then you're reading way too many questions from beginning to end. You have to stop reading questions. That is the death of you. And that's why you keep failing, is because you're reading the questions. You have to stop that. You have to carry me as a bird on your shoulder. You have to listen to my words and hear them in your head as you're taking the exam, and you catch yourself reading a question from the very beginning. You don't need to know that they're 54 years old and that they had a history of this, that, and the other thing. That's just there to slow you down so that you will not pass this exam. And you're taking that information with you to the next question, and your head is filling up with all these words, and then you're having brain fatigue when you hit exam question 70 or so. You can't think anymore by the time that happens. A lot of times we don't even carry anything with us. Maybe that they were 10, but that's it. If it's a difference between age and the 2 codes, if I just need to know if it's an open or closed fractured, only thing I'm taking with me is the word open, and I'm going to the next question. Absolutely have to stop reading the questions, or you'll never get through the exam, and you'll keep failing it because you're reading too much and getting yourself confused. Because by the time you do come to the CPT codes and you look up 4 different ones or 8 different ones for one question, you're carrying all those CPT code descriptions with you too. It's just too much for one person to internalize during that exam. You have to slim it down for you. Only gather what info you must have to pick out the correct answer in the most efficient, fast way possible. And that's how I attack the exam. How I passed without even knowing a thing about coding. I know a lot more now. I've been tutoring you guys for a year now. I'm getting to be quite the coder now, but it's fun. I like learning new things, obviously, so that's cool. But I love y'all's success too, so that keeps me going. I can imagine you work in the field and can't pass. I've heard so many, because the exam has absolutely nothing to do with coding. It's already coded for you. All you have to do is pick out the correct answer. It's not a coding assessment to see if you know how to be a good coder. It's just, can you take a test and pick out the right answer? That's all that exam is. It's not you, and it's not your ability of coding that's having you fail all the time. It's the exam. It is designed with psychologists. They help AAPC write these questions in a way that they know how the human brain works and how human nature is, and they know how to write certain key words that will make you think you're coding one thing when it's not got anything to do with that at all. Nothing at all. You can even read their report on when they reduced the exam by 50 questions. It says they used a psychomediast to help them formulate those questions. And I knew they had been doing that from the get-go by the way the wording of their questions are. Absolutely, they do that. It is just full of propaganda. You need to avoid those questions. She signed up already. Great. I went to school, didn't learn a thing. I started working in the field, and that's how I learned. That's awesome. 20 minutes in. That was probably an hour ago, wasn't it, Twinkle? I'm just now getting to that message. Rebecca. Oh, you're very welcome. Very, very welcome. Happy to help. Happy to help. Will this be somewhere where I can watch it later? Yep. And send to your classrooms. Megan, I got everything. Repost to my YouTube page, which is Medical Coding by Jen. The link's in the bio. You just got to click on my face over there with the boys. And they all get posted there on YouTube. So, did I post? Was it Wednesdays up yet? I'm wondering. I need a keeper. Somebody to keep track of me. Tell me what I did or didn't do. But I need to highlight that because it's a do not report, and I'll come back later and mark it in red. And make sure when it's in a guideline and not near the codes and it tells me do not code something with nothing, I'll go to that code and I'll actually go put that note, do not code there. If it tells me to use a modifier, I'll go to that code and write that situation down. It doesn't do us any good to have it highlighted right here, because during the exam, you're 5, 6, 7, 9 pages away. You won't remember none of this back here. You got to get it and move it. Move it to the codes. Whatever you're doing right here. And when they write, for example, move it to the codes. Absolutely. 100%. Yep, on YouTube. Lots of videos. It'll drive you nuts there. Howdy from the Philippines. Happy Mother's Day. Already there in the Philippines. Sorry, it didn't work. I don't understand, Kona. I work in a large billing company, but there's definitely pros and cons. Hey, MK, how's it going? Annie, I haven't even done anything yet. You didn't miss anything. Hey, Annie. We're on page, I'm just skipping around like a crazy loon. I'm on page 731. What section is that on Discord? I'm under CPT book prep. So when you go to my main chats there, CPT code book prep, that's what room that page is in. You just scroll up. Scroll backwards, whatever. You'll see tons of my helpful tips and, pages that I've shared in here, ideas and things, copies of my books, what I'm highlighting, what I'm not highlighting. It's all in there. Just have to scour for the info. It's all there, though. On Sundays, regular. Well, the holidays, I got to make sure that there's no holiday. We just had Easter, so I didn't do it that weekend. And if I do it on a Sunday, I need the next Sunday to not do it because I get tired. Those 3 hours really wear me out. Unlike these where I'm mostly chatting a lot of times, a little too long, the workshops do take a lot out of me because trying to be all professional and make sure that it's worth y'all's time and money there. So I don't really like y'all having to pay for anything. I'd rather do it all for free. But sometimes I do these 3 times a week, 2 hours each time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is just not enough, and y'all need more. And that's fine. I'll do them on Sundays, but they do take a lot out of me. So I'll have to have the next Sunday free to recuperate. And then I have to coordinate all this tutoring, this one-on-one tutoring, and make sure that I have one Saturday off where I can go play with the boys or spend time with the honey bunny or something. Somebody needs some time with me. And then there's holidays or things, so not real regular. I'm trying to do them twice a month, but this month will only be this one time because the boys are going to be out of school. I don't want to do it, if I do it on the 15th, I don't want to do it on the 22nd. And then the next week, the boys are out of school for the summer, and we're going to go swimming for 4 days. I'm a water baby. I used to be a lifeguard in another life and time. I love the water, and we're going to go swim for 4 days and not think about codes or anything. We just have a house rental, and we're just going to swim there for a week. But so this will be my only workshop this month, which is unusual, but because of Mother's Day and Easter and stuff was so late in the season, it will be just this one time. The workshops are posted on my website at Medical Coding by Jen, and as soon as I've made a decision about a date, I will put the notice up so it's always there so y'all can book whenever y'all get ready. Ooh, my mom just walked in. Let's see. She's digging into her mail. June. Let's see. I'll be on vacation the first week in June. Could probably do it the second week in June and then the third week in June. So probably the 5th and the 19th I can do workshops. But we'll see. I got to make sure there's no holidays that I hadn't forgot about around then. But try to do them twice a month. But I'm not going to do it tomorrow because it's Mother's Day. Y'all need a day off. Not normally. I don't normally have live sessions. If I do a live on a random afternoon, which I will be doing tonight because I don't have the boys, we're going to go through and code and prep the lab and path section. I will be live on YouTube. And that can be an all-nighter because I don't have any children. Well, my oldest is here, but he's working on building a desk for me. So he's good. He's 30. He's pretty independent without me. All right. My 2 little demons, on the other hand. Travi became the butt of a joke today, first period, and it lasted all day long. And oh my gosh, those days are rough. He's in junior high, and kids are just cruel. And nothing worse than it happening in the first period of the first day, on a Friday, and then all the kids are cackling at him all day long. When you go to the book, you should be able to search the date. Yep. Are y'all still talking about Yeah, Tiff, they probably won't give you your scores until Monday. Brain fatigue can happen very quickly. Yes, always set your books in your car or on your desk the night before. Always pick out your clothes, socks, underwear, your breakfast that you're going to have that day, all the night before. Go on and have your AAPC membership ID number written down. Don't forget your driver's license. Even if you're taking it in person or online, you'll need that. Don't make any decisions that morning. Already have it sitting out what you're going to wear. Already know what you're eating for breakfast. Don't do any decision making. Don't think you're going to fill up the gas tank on the way to your exam either. Don't do that. You know, I really wish there was a service that'd come around to your house every Sunday afternoon and fill up all your cars. Now, wouldn't that be a service you'd pay for? I certainly would. Come to my house. Bring the gasoline. I know I got to pay an arm and a leg for it anyway. Don't make me go out and go pump it. Just bring it to me. Fill the tanks up. There we go. Here's a card. That would be awesome. Somebody wants an idea on how to make $1 billion. There you go. All right. How long does it take to get the books prepped? I'm not done yet. I still got lab path and medicine to do. And it's May. And I've been working since October, but you know, I have a full-time job, and then I tutor, and then all these lives, and yeah, it's a nightmare. You could probably do it in a month, but then you need to practice questions for a month. You need 2 months to get your books prepped. And to practice questions is the fastest I could assume to perceive that anybody could do this. Oop. Yeah, oh, Megan bought my ICD10 guidelines. And you know, I've been thinking really hard about that document, and I made it for a lifetime of learning all your guidelines. That document is going to do you wonders for, you could, if you actually really truly understood everything that I wrote there on all those guidelines, you could take over people's jobs in a coding department because you would know more about the guidelines than anybody else there, including your supervisors. I'm 100% positive on that. What I really should do is I think at the beginning or at the back, didn't I put in there, there's top 10 guidelines of the ones that you should really focus on. That list should be the ones that you really focus on. I need to make one geared towards the exam. Instead of doing every single guideline of the 100 and whatever pages it is, I should have done it from the exam's point of view. I wasn't thinking when I made it, and I spent 3 months on it. I could have pared that down a whole lot better and done it just on the ones that I think are most important for the exam. And because that is a lot of pages. It's 100 and something pages. It's a lot of pages. But I did screenshots of what's inside the ICD-10 book. If the guideline is talking about a certain thing in the book, I took a picture of it, showed you where it was at. Then I have examples of exam questions related to that guideline on the sides for you. Some AK terms, some common knowledge, but it's a lot. It's every single word in every single paragraph throughout the entire guideline explained. So it's a lot. I shouldn't have made it that way, I don't think. I'm sitting here rethinking it. But I was trying to do something really amazing, and it is an amazing document. It's just a lot of a document. And do you really need all of it for the exam? Rough. What you do need is what the top 10 guidelines. And let me show you what that looks like real quick, because let me see, where is that? Where is that document? Because that is the most helpful. because at least if you know that, you know which guidelines to go run to. And, oof, wrong one. That's super helpful. If I can find it. I just realized I took it out of what's been on the exam the last 45 days document. I should put that back. Yep, I should put that back in there. Sorry, just talking to myself. What has been on the exam the last 45 days? Finally updated that and sent that out to everybody who purchased that. I'm sure some people that have already passed the exam are tired of getting in that email with the updates in it, but it's still going to come back to you. You're going to get an update every time. All right. Here you go. So the guidelines you definitely should know for your CPC exam are injury guidelines with HIV. Something like they were in a fist fight at a bar and they got an eye socket fracture, but they're also an HIV patient. How would you code that? And what sequencing would you do? Something like that. Or sepsis with respiratory disease like SARS, S-A-R-S, super popular for the exam. OB and delivery, know how to deliver all vaginal babies, one vaginal, one C-section, or all C-section babies. Also, the ones that have no prenatal care, or the ones that just code the delivery and post-op care. Know those differences. Breast cancer, if it's metastasized, what do you code first, depending on who they're being seen for and why they're being seen? There's several cancer ones that I have down that are super important. If they're being seen for chemotherapy and radiation therapy today, we always know my favorite Z diagnosis code is Z51. That's always coded first. Then their cancer is coded second. But if they're not being seen for chemotherapy, but they're being seen for dehydration or anemia due to cancer or due to the treatment, there's different sequencings in those, and you need to know those differences. So that's super important. Suspected or probable diagnoses, there's some in the ICD10 book. There's only 3 of them. Know where to find those. How to do hernias and hernia repairs and sequencings with or without mesh. Adverse effect or toxic effect of issues if a patient is given a medication by a doctor and they have an allergic reaction. What's the sequencing of the code? Do you do the external cause first or the symptoms first? Then if you're an idiot and you took it yourself, intentionally or by accident, whatever the medicine is, or overdose of whatever it is, even alcohol, there's a different sequencing for that. Do you do the T code first or the symptoms? You need to know those guidelines. Underdosing and overdosing, like if you can't pick up your diabetes medicines due to cost and you're underdosing yourself, there's a certain situation that you code in that situation. And then if you've overdosed or there was a malfunction due to a pump or something that gave you too much, there's another set of codes that you use for that situation. You got to be sure and know those. Burns, abuse and dependence of alcohol can always be on there. And the sequencing of your burns, I need to put in there. Oh, there they are, the corrosion in the burns. Yep. Though that's my top 10. Know those guidelines. Go through that document of the ICD-10 guidelines. Focus on what I wrote about those and the sequencing and move that info to the actual codes in the back of the book. Don't leave it in the front where the guidelines are at. It won't do you any good. Don't worry about printing guidelines and taking them with you. That's not going to be helpful. You're not going to have time to reference them. And there's only 5 diagnosis codes or 6 for the whole exam anyway. So we don't really want to spend a huge amount of time. Now that they've cut this exam down by 50 questions, when I wrote that document, it was still 150 questions long, and the guidelines did play more of a role in the exam than what they are now. I think I really need to rethink that, but I need to finish the CPT book for you guys, get that done so that I can focus and fix other areas too. But hopefully that helps out some with that document. Yep, hit next, and then don't forget to click on the 2 p.m. time or it won't let you book. You have to click the date, it's the 15th, and put your little cursor in there, and then you have to click on the time too, which is annoying when the only time comes up. You saw that, but what do I do next in the book? Are you talking about this book? If you're talking about this book, what we do next is we mark our do nots. I do them in 2 reds. If the codes are a difference between open and closed procedures, I circle the opens in green, and then I circle the closed procedures in orange so that I know the difference. If there is a unilateral procedure, I mark those with big U's so that I can tell that I would have to have a modifier to go with this one to make it bilateral. That's super important. As I'm doing practice questions, if a particular question says they used a particular wire or instrument, AAPC doesn't change their vocabulary. They might change which codes they're picking from, but this one does K-wires. And I know that because of their questions, so that I add that information to the codes. In cardiology, there's a really good guideline section there in the front that tells you all these codes include radiology. And there's like 42 of them over there. And then they do a bunch of individual ones. I'll go to each one of those codes and I'll write includes radiology. That way I have it, because they're far away from the guideline. And you won't remember, well, that one doesn't, but this one does, unless you go move all that data to it. So that's super helpful. And then your one-word differences. What's different about these codes? Because they're all under the same parent. What's our differences? That's super helpful. And if you're in a vein or an artery, I keep the veins blue and the arteries red. That's 90% of your problem there in cardiology is am I in an artery or am I in a vein? Am I doing 1 or 2 or 3 grafts? All that cardiology is really about is, am I ventricular or arterial? When a modifier is being told to me underneath a code in a parenthetical and it says use it, then I blue star it with my do nots. That way it's alerting me. If I'm veins, I keep my veins circled. And if it's red and I'm in an artery, I mark those up in the red. See, my arteries are marked up in red over here. So that kind of stuff. You just need to make sure you're under the right header, under the right documented thing. Am I unilateral? Am I bilateral? Do I need to add a modifier? Am I removing a foreign body? Am I not doing a repair? No repair. Am I doing a simple repair? Those kinds of things are super helpful to tell you ahead of time during the procedures, during the exam. Super helpful. Super helpful. Let me bring back up my questions for tonight so we can finally get started with those. I have immunizations, medicine, diagnosis is just a whole gamut of stuff. A lot of musculoskeletal because I just finished that section. Oh, go away. Come back up. And get back up here to the first question. Oh, and I have a case tonight. I know y'all hate the cases, but I tried to find a very short case. But I do have a case tonight because they are on the exam and we need to not avoid them. We need to do them. And I found one that I thought y'all could do that I've never presented before. So, let me check messages real quick where y'all are looking over these answers. We don't need mind games. Yeah, they do. They give you mind games with that exam. She never took it yet, but I'm reading all the preparation questions. I'm kind of worried. Don't read the questions. Lord, that's not how we take the exam. All right. I've never had a problem with any others. Try again. In medicine codes are out of sequence. There's a lot of them out of sequence. It's awful. No, on the Wednesday live was not posted yet. Thank you so much, Twinkle. Let me get on TikTok with my other phone here, and I will download it real quick. I can never keep up with what I've done or not done because, you know, life is crazy. So go here to our live center. Go to somewhere. Isn't it here? Yeah, replays. And that's tonight's live, and this one was Wednesday. That's right. That's the 4th. Yep. So I'll download that now. It was 2 hours and 3 minutes long. And so that'll download. As soon as it finishes, I'll pop it onto YouTube. Mondays was so much better, though. Mondays was good. I feel like I was tired or a little absent-minded Wednesday, but today, I'm just like ADHD all over the place. So, good gracious, you never know what you're going to get with me. You should be. But I guess with notes and preparation, you'll be okay. How long do you leave YouTube vids up? I save them for chapters I'm not in yet. I'm not going anywhere. You're fine. I've have aapc's franchise license, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm good. MK, I hope you did hear about the injection components. All right, good. Learned something new an hour to go whenever you said that, Twinkle. Happy Mother's Day. You've helped so much. Thanks, Nikki. If she was talking to me, she could have been talking to you guys. She booked for the 15th. Good job, Annie. I take my test next Saturday. She's so nervous. Oh, don't be nervous. Take me on your shoulder. Yep, the architect pencils. You don't have to buy them. I just was thinking that don't take a really sharp pencil because it's going to take you longer to bubble in a bubble. Get you the fattest kindergarten pencil that you could find, even at the 99-cent store. You know, that big honking pencil with that big, huge lead. Find you something that'll circle in that bubble dark and fast. You don't want to spend time wasting with a super sharp, pointy tip. Please don't do a mechanical pencil, you know, with those tiny little needles of little lead. Get you a fat kindergartner something. Yeah, it takes at least 40 hours. Easy. I think it's more like 80 if you prep them the way I do. Because, yeah, Yeah, it's crazy. Plus all the anatomy and stuff that goes along with it. My cardiology is like on fire this year. I went through even some of the internal pictures, even in the subject. I went through and went down what branch they were in, second, beyond, first, and these are just internal pages of notes. It took a while. It did, and not even just Appendix L. I did it on the pictures in cardiology. So you're getting some value when you go get those notes if you ever wanted them. But they're a lot to write in, even if you're just copying. Yeah, you got to prepare the whole book. 1.5 months. Oh my. You're not happy about the HCPCS books? I do have a document up on medicalcodingbygin.com under shop. It's $16, but it gives you everything you need to know about HCPCS and modifiers. So that's super easy. And then there's one for $6 for all your diabetes guidelines, whether they lost their pancreas and got diabetes, all the gestational diabetes guidelines for insulin dependent or gestational or whatever, whether you're on oral meds or injectable meds, how to code it, that's on that site too. So it's cool. No, I will not post this on Discord. I wish I could. I don't know how to post videos on Discord yet. The repost will be on YouTube. Adverse effect, burns, yep. Could not find musculoskeletal on Etsy. It's because I haven't taken all the pictures yet and posted it yet. Unlike, I ate Easter Peeps yesterday, or the night before yesterday. And I didn't know, I guess they go bad, but they were from Easter. And I ate the Peeps, and I was so sick yesterday. And I'm not like a sickly person. A lot of y'all been with me for a year, and you've never heard me complain besides of a headache. I'm not a sickly person, but those things had me down yesterday. So yeah, I don't have musculoskeletal up yet. Sorry. You got our second date. I can't find it. Gladys. I'm looking. I'm doing Chanel tomorrow. Gladys, it's Tuesday the 10th at 10:30. Is that right? And then if you need a different date or time, just let me know. But I got you Tuesday at 10:30. I got Miss Patel at 8:30 in the morning as soon as the boys leave. So I'll need a couple hours to do her, and then you and I can get started. So just let me know if you need a different day. I don't have anybody else till Saturday that week. So just let me know. Yes, this will be on YouTube, Sammy. I just want to pass. I know you do, and I want that for you too. Keeping C and D. Look at y'all. Cardio looks a hot mess. Oh no. Yeah, I got my HCPCS from AAPC every year when I get my tax return. Thank God I got the little boys, but I just go on and buy my yearly membership and the books for the next year at that time every year. So I just order the whole lot from AAPC since I'm already there and buying stuff for my yearly membership. I just buy them there. It's just convenience. Sepsis Should Not Scare You, Tiffany, on my website at medicalcodingbyjen.com. I know I keep saying this over and over again, but there is a tab that says CPT Book Prep. At the very bottom, I have every single one of your sepsis guidelines listed in a one-sheet free document for you with all 4 coding scenarios listed out. If it's this sepsis, you code one code and it's this answer. If it's this sepsis, there's 2 codes in this answer. And I got all 4 scenarios written down. You'll just go to A41.9 or whatever sepsis is, I forget, and go write down those 4 examples right there next to those CPT or ICD-10 codes. And the answer's right there for you. You just need to turn to that page. Jen's got you covered with sepsis. Don't worry about it. Oh, yep. You're welcome. That's good. Okay, good. You want tutoring? I don't have the boys here to draw some tutoring. Because I was so sick yesterday from eating those peeps. They were blue too. I know better. But I didn't know that they would have an expiration date. But they definitely have an expiration date. I don't have the boys here to draw. And I didn't put extra names in the drawing, so I'm a failure. I will do that and have it in there by Monday. Sorry. I didn't see any slots for this month. You may not. In my tutoring, I keep it really cut down. I only have one day available, Tuesdays. But even if a day that you want is not available, I have time. I just don't want to get overbooked like I was in March. It was insane because I didn't have any time to add other people that needed it quickly, like they failed and I got to do it again next week and I need you this week, please, please, please. But I already had everybody booked on every single day I could. So March was rough for me. So I just stopped all the other dates, but they're still available, but I just move them. Anyway, what that means is just book whatever's available. Book whatever day, even if it's in June and your thing is in May. Just when you're booking it, type in the notes that say, Jen, move this to this day at this time. And if I can do that, I'll do it. If I can't, I'll message you and say, can we do this day at this time? But usually I can work with you, whatever day. You know, I like tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I don't do lives. And I don't mind doing them on Saturdays, as long as I don't have my one Saturday a month with the boys, you know. I mean, they're here every freaking day. Y'all know that. But just working in school and all that stuff, we don't get much fun time. And especially most of my afternoons are with you guys. So I like to go out and play every once in a while. So it's kind of rare that the house is this quiet and they're gone for overnight tonight. And that sheet for sepsis is free. Yeah, no flashcards. You don't want to remember anything. Okay. How I would attack this question is, if I was doing this question, I would take a piece of paper or an index card or something, and I would cover up my exam question, not even looking at it, just come straight down to the question, and I would look for similarities. And because the 11 is the same in 2 answers, and then I know that one answer says to add radiology, and the other one says not to add radiology, I would just pick C and move on to my next question, because they love this question no matter where they're at in the book. It could be anywhere: cardiology, integumentary, musculoskeletal, whatever, respiratory. They love to ask, do I include radiology or not? And I know the 7,000 codes are radiology. And 90% of the time, the answer does not need to add another code because radiology is included with it. I wouldn't even look to see what the question was. I would just pick C and move, because most of the time they're just whatever's in the question, they're trying to confuse you. You don't need to go to radiology to even see what the code's about, because you know they did it. Whatever it is, they did do radiology on the patient, because that's the difference between these two answers. And the only place you would find the real answer is if you do go to 22511. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to throw radiology on top of an answer with AAPC. They just want to make sure, number one, you aren't going to be an overcoder, that you ain't going to code too many things. They don't want to pump people out and give them the license to bill medically that are going to code too many codes, that they're just going to code every little thing that happens. So that's one of their criteria as they're testing you, is to make sure that you're not going to be an overcoder. So on exam questions like this, where you have the same answer and the only difference in those answers is, do I add radiology or not? Don't add no radiology. Pick the answer and move on to the next question. You can do this in 3 seconds. You've saved 2 minutes and 56 seconds for another question that might be even rough. This is like winning the lotto when you see questions like this. Where am I at? 225, 11. I could be eating my words in a minute when we go look up the answer, but I bet it already includes radiology. And if the CPT code does not describe that they used radiology or not, and you've worked this question and you do find out that the answer already includes radiology, then you need to write those notes down next to that CPT code. So when you do see the answer, you will pick the right one. You see there's some guidelines right over here. I'm on page 160 of the CPT book. And if you look underneath there, there's this whole paragraph before you start coding these vertebroplasties that discusses image guidance in these codes right here. And that's what they're testing you on. Did you read that paragraph? Do you know imaging goes along with these things? You won't find the answer at the code. That's not going to do you any good. It's a child code. You'd have to go to Mama Code to see. But right here in Mama Code, she includes fluoroscope. You got guidance right there. Also, it tells you in the guidelines right there. Anyway, y'all can look at the dang question if you want to, but I bet there ain't nothing. I mean, unless they did something like a CT scan. But right there, guidance. Yeah, that's it. They did use guidance, and it's already included in the dang answer. So, yep, I was right. That's it. It's exactly what I would do. I wouldn't even have bothered with that one to look up the code just because I know their nature. I would have just picked C and moved on. But even if you do want to look at the code, don't forget, you're not going to find the answer here. You got to go look at Mama. Mama will have your info right there. Go look at the 10. And if you don't know how to look up the Mama codes and know that one code is a child, one code is a parent, a lot of this is what they're testing you on. Do you know how to use the book? Do you know how to look at that code 11 and know that it already includes radiology or not? And if you don't know how to do that, then they don't want you in there coding anyway. So for this one, the 47 and the, well, sorry, I'm saying it backwards. I'm so dyslexic today and ADHD all over the place. 74 and 76 is what I go to first. 43, what? What's our differences between those two codes? 432. I hope I answered your question, MK. 432. Where are we at? (432). And I'm slow. Y'all got to get to these codes a lot faster than I do. 43274. We're still under a child code, and 76. So one of them's a stent and one of them's an exchange. Do you know the differences? Or do you have to read all those paragraphs and pick out the one-word differences, which would be a nightmare in the middle of the exam, is to figure out what the one-word differences are in between those. But if you've already got it pre-done, where one is a stent placement and one of them's a stent removal, there is nothing to this exam. After that, all I got to go look in my question is see, did we place one or did we remove one? What are we doing? Or exchange one, sorry. Remove and exchange, and the other one is just a placement. Did we take one out and put one in? What did we do? This is a stent placement and a biopsy. Doesn't say nothing about exchanging one, right? Just looking at the descriptor is all you'd need to know that you're doing B, and you could move on, because we don't need to exchange it. We're just doing the placement, and that's it. It'd take me longer just to get to the codes and find my one-word difference before anything else. That's the longest anything takes. This one's going to be our case. Very good, MK. Did I lose everybody else? I can't tell. How many? Oh, we got still 40 on. All right. Y'all ready for a case? It's not too bad. Sometimes I get crazy with these cases, but we do have an office visit. We got a squirrel who's coming in for some warts. You can see the review of history right there. Whoops, sorry. You can see that the patient's returning for some freezy, right? And you can see how many that they did. I was kind enough to separate this stuff out. So we're doing this. And we did one and then told to follow up. What procedure are we doing? Are we doing the 5,000s or the 1,700s? That's our first issue right now. What's our header for 565? What's going on in the 5,000 sections? Or is that neuro? Where are we at? No, we're not neuro. Oh, we're in the serve 565. We're in the female genitalia, right? 565. Or would we be in integumentary for this particular location? We're doing genital warts with cryotherapy. Is that integumentary or are we in female reproductive? Good job. We are in the females. We're not going to be in skin. Our differences between the 01 and the 15 is one is a simple lesion and then the other one is extensive. Did they document this as being extensive? They just noted that it was 1. And the other ones had decreased in size, right? So A is your answer. Good job, Rach. What about our diagnosis codes? Where are we going to be there? Are we going to be in the B's, the A's, or the D's? What is our A section about? Since it's our first one here, A63 header. Our A's are infections, parasitic diseases, those kind of things. A63 is under sexually transmitted disease. Is this a sexually transmitted disease? Genital warts. D is, where's D? D, we're under blood pathogens. Our D28. Benign neoplasms of the female genitalia. D28. Not elsewhere specified. Good Lord. Is it usually one of those non-elsewhere specified? I forgot to look up B07. What is B? B07 is viral warts, plantar fascias, those kinds of things. Unspecified is our 9. Our 8 is other. This is unspecified, and that's an other, and this is an other. What do you guys think? I don't like the fact that these do other or not elsewhere specified. The only one that could be, I don't know, that one's an other 2.0. No, it's venereal warts is our A. Genital warts. That sounds pretty darn close. Y'all are thinking D? Y'all are thinking D? A says venereal warts. All right, somebody was giving me their E&M a minute ago. What did I see? I saw a established patient. Yep, we definitely have that. So now y'all are thinking about C2 with me. Kind of like that one. What have we got about E&M? What are we doing here? What level visit would y'all give? Yeah, they're all established. 11 is like a nurse visit. 12 is one limited issue. 13 is, we're getting B's and C's and D's. Did I lose you, Kai? I've gotten dots here. I meant to question. The question is hard. It's one of their cases. So, did we do an E&M visit? Do you see anything that is a history, an exam, and an MDM here? Or are you like MK, where you see just a procedure was done and you would not code an E&M? Good, Tiffany. No E&M. All right. So we do have our answers. I don't know what the heck I wrote. Oh, A is the answer, but for some reason I only captured part of the CPT code. A is our answer. Oh, Lord. And then we've got C is our answer for the external genitalia organs. And then D, no E and M. For sure. Yep, there's the diagnosis. It was A63. And see that word, condylioma? If you don't go to A63 right now and make sure that you write that down beside A63.0 where it says venereal warts, the second one underneath it says the condomyoma, which is the 0.0, which is what we did code. Be sure you underline that one. A lot of times AAPC's version of the book, they do green highlight your differences, but that one's kind of hidden the way it's kind of hidden. So anyway, you might want to make notes of that and then also put your AKA term, which is genital warts, beside your A63.0. So when you're doing these questions, even the ones before this case, where we found out that 74 was the answer because we did stent only, you could go write down any words from these questions that would help you recognize it later on in the they called it an ERCP, especially when they give it a proper name. Go on and write that beside your 43274. Anything else that's in here that could help you remember that that's what you did, that you did a cologram stent placement. It was deployed, is another word for AKA placement. They did a biopsy also. Those kinds of things are invaluable to write down beside your CPT codes, for sure. Here's a guideline for your Medicare patients. What do you think about a minor procedure that is defined by Medicare as having 0 or 10 days postoperative care? Which statement is true about a minor and endoscopic procedure? Which one is true? When I look at these, I look for words like always, never, just something that can distinguish the differences between some of these. These two start out with the same words. One of them's in a hospital, one of them's in an office. I note the similarities in certain things. They've got separately identified, is billable, not allowed, can be, those kind of things. If you know a little bit about coding or a little bit about what AAPC normally picks as an answer, I heard the cases are not so bad. They're nowhere near as rough as the ones that I go find for you, that's for sure. Everybody says the same thing about them. What is true about a minor or an endoscopic procedure? Some of them were true and false. We are trying to find only one of them is true. If you're at a doctor's office and you have a same-day procedure, it's billable in correspondence the procedure are being performed. There is no preoperative period at all. There is a 1-day preoperative period with a modifier 25. Does that sound from? Or the hospital on the same day. can be reported without the modifier 25. What's the differences in these? Can be billed with or without modifiers, or can be billed. The only one that is different is this one that says there's no preoperative period. The rest of them all have preoperative periods. This is the only one that has the no. Oops, sorry. There is no preoperative period for an endoscope. You don't get, 6 weeks to recover or something like that. So one more audit one. Audits finding are of little value unless the findings are shared with the provider too. What is their favorite answer? AAPC. I know I have a couple of people that are taking the CPMA. This question is just for them. But it's really not a very good question because we know what AAPC's favorite answer is. It's usually all of the above or none of the above, something like that. So it's just a teaser question, really. But in case you ever wanted to know about an auditor's findings, what we're trying to correct is always we're trying to recommend improvements in the way they're billing and coding. We're trying to illustrate to them the compliance need in documentation. We're addressing the issues, of course, and writing up corrective actions, stuff like that. But anyway, if y'all don't know what's going on, but there is a D, all of the above or none of the above answer, pick that one. AAPC loves those. There's another one. According to a guideline for an inpatient consultation, which statement is true? And many people have no idea about consultations or the guidelines attached to them. So that's why I picked this one so we could have a discussion about it. So here's your 4 options. We've got 2 that start, thank you for the hearts, 2 that start with only. And then we've got consultation. So you can kind of break those up into 2 different ones. We've got only 1 consultation may be reported per day, or only 1 consultation can be reported per hospital admission. So that's your differences, per day or per hospital admission. Or the ones that say consult, subsequent is to be reported with an established patient code. Does that sound true? We are looking for something that's true. Or a consult is initiated on the second following admissions. What? Initiated on the day 2? Consultations are done on day 2. That's just ridiculous. D is just awful. Exam B. Yeah, A and B are much easier exams. Don't get C. C is horrible. Oh, you don't get to pick your exam. When you schedule your exam, that sets AAPC's wheels in motion, and they go order exams to be printed, and it is randomly generated which one you get, and they order that one to be printed for you. So you have no control over that. C is horrible. You want to take like A twice or something because that's a much easier exam. they're a really good chance. Janet, I was talking to Jessica today. She's one of my very first I mentored and got to pass last year. She was messaging me today. We were talking to her about her coding job and future stuff. She got exam C first, then A, and then got A again. She took it 3 times, and she got the same exam the second time that she'd already had and passed right away with that one. It was really nice. Also, I'm so glad you found me too. I hope I can help you. So what's the correct answer? Well, you tell me. Yes, it's labeled. If you take it in person, it is labeled. You will be given the workbook when you sign in. You go to your desk, you'll remove your sticker, put your sticker onto your answer sheet, and that's where it'll tell you which exam you got. But don't panic if you see exam C. I've got a list of what items are on exam C on a document on Etsy. If you want it, people have told me what was on their exam. You can go get it. The funds that come from that sale go straight into giving free tutoring or sections of my notes for free for people that are in need. I have A, B, C, and exam H listed on that document. C is your answer. Only one consultation may be reported per day. And if you notice in that CPT book, every single one of those CPT codes, the last 2 words in the CPT code descriptor, keep saying it over and over again, per day, per day, per day, per day. All of them do under consults. It's the one uniform thing they say all the time. Now you know. Here's a modifier one. Which place of service code is reported for a fracture care performed by an orthopedic physician in the ER? You test again on the 14th, Tiff. Best of luck. And we're doing a workshop on the 15th, huh? Doing it on a Saturday. We got a vote for 21. Are you looking at the place of service sheet, which is your very first page in your CPT book? Open it up, go to the front cover. Should be your stickers that you did not place on your book, those tabby things. Turn past your tabby things. The next page is your place of service code. And where is the ER? Where's ER? Yes, D is the right answer. Just make sure you know where those are. How are we doing on time, Twinkle? Am I over? Or am I going okay? Let's do a musculoskeletal. What are we doing here? We've got the same answer, and then we've got radiology being added to it. Oh, Lord. What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna wing it? And trust me and just say, what is the answer? What's the answer? Come on. Y'all know. Don't be chicken. Don't go looking up any codes. What do you know is going to be the answer? There you go. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. We got the same code written twice. The only difference is radiology being added. You don't have to go anywhere. You know what the answer is. Don't have to read the question. Nada. D is your answer. I'm sorry I talked so long. I'm so glad you love the tips. I hope this 2 hours has been helpful. I do have Wednesdays tutoring downloaded, and I'm going to post it up. Here's Grandma coming in. I'm fixing to get off. Ooh, what'd you get a check for?
Return from
the lab. You want me to zell you the
labs,
money and then
yeah.
just deposit it into mine?
Yeah, I couldn't sign on to my accounts.
What's wrong? Your computer?
I don't know.
Your computer?
It just won't. It rejects my password. And I know it's been the same since forever. And I can go online and it's okay. But I can't do it on my phone.
Oh, on your phone?
Yeah.
I think you changed it in here, Mom. You did. Me, you, and I. Well, that was Gmail. That was Gmail or something. Yeah, I don't think we did bank.
Oh.
Okay. I'm coming. I'm done. Okay. I'll come visit. And before I go on live again, I'm going to go on live again to do some book prep tonight for Lab and Path. It'll be live on Google. Give me 30 minutes to visit and go eat some dinner, and then I'll be back. I don't have any boys. Definitely going to be back. I hope this has been helpful. I will upload Mondays live or Wednesdays live to YouTube now while we're visiting, and then I'll download this one. But I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes on YouTube. I hope this has been helpful. Please show this question. This one. There you go. I hope this is helpful. Thank you for the shares, and anything y'all can do to get me to those 10,000 followers would be great so that I can get access to the stream and get y'all a better camera view. Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. See y'all in a little bit. Good night. Thanks, Cassie. You're welcome, me giggles. Bye, guys.